Hello and welcome to SoftBase's presentation on what's new in TestBase 5.1.0. To start out here, we'll give you a little background on SoftBase. We're one of the oldest independent DB2 solution providers out there. We've been around since the mid-'80s. We're headquartered in Asheville, North Carolina, right in between the Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains. We've been profitable every year, and we work with all your major verticals in the mainframe environment. 5 of the top 10 U.S. banks, 3 of the top 20 U.S. retailers. The common application testing challenges we often have people come to us for revolve around, of course, the basics, the extraction of referentially intact subsets of mass data. Then we have others come to us because their test environment is growing too large. DBAs are spending too much time building and maintaining multiple test beds, KICS, or IMS regions. And then we have others, of course, that come to us because they're just they're working with painful single-threaded scheduling type testing. Applications are not getting enough testing. They're getting into the production with poor SQL or poor performance in general. And then others come to us because their application developers in general are having issues with their test data getting corrupted by them stepping on each other, having to test single-threaded on a scheduled basis. And then, of course, further down the road, others come to us because their developers cannot save data for specific testing on code changes later. They cannot archive for themselves in order to go back and test specific upgrades. TestBase itself is a complete test data management solution. It comes in 3 components: the populator, edit, and slice. The populator allows you to do the basics as far as getting out your extracting from production your referentially intact subsets of mass data. And then the edit allows developers to go in and configure test data for specific testing conditions so they can test their code and logic for whatever might be a unique situation. And then slice itself is the one that it's a component that allows each developer and or development team to make their own copies of the referentially intact subset mass data. That way they can all test anytime they like, test as often as they like, and make sure they're not corrupting each other's efforts. The key benefits for TestBase for most environments is we're going to improve overall developer and DBA productivity. DBAs will no longer spend most of their time managing test environments, refreshing data, and archiving data for the different developers. Developers are not going to have to any longer wait on each other's schedule time with data or worry about corruption. They'll have their own slices of data to manage and take care of. We also make sure that while the developers are all downloading their data, we can do this faster. So again, not to slow the process, we can load up to 5 tables at a time in parallel using the slice component. All this is going to ultimately end up to better data, better quality data for them to test against, better applications coming out of the test environment, and increased efficiency in your production environment. We also work with no proprietary data formats. Great to use for archiving and restoration type projects. And last but not least, but most importantly in the world we live in today, we have a better data security solution. We actually mask the data on extract. It never is exposed for even a second in your test environment. And in a world where we're paying up to $194 per record for any kind of exposed sensitive data, I think it's important that we make sure we always mask that as quickly as possible. And this is kind of a graphical representation of the different environments TestBase can help you set up. At the top here, it shows the different areas we can pull data from: QSAM, VSAM, of course, DB2 ZOS, and DB2 LUW. As you can see in the next box down, we mask the data at point of extraction, and then we can support all 3 of your usual testing environments. Of course, your most basic out there, your full production copies. And then in the middle there, you see where we're giving you a referentially intact subset of data. And then on the far right, this is our unique solution that only SoftBase can offer you, is a referentially intact subset of mass data that then can be sliced into separate environments for each developer, each development team. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Neil Lozens to explain the new features of TestBase 5.1.0.
We have several new features in version 5.1.0 of TestBase. First and foremost is we finally have 128 character name support. Currently in TestBase, in the prior versions of TestBase, we only supported up to 30 character names. Now we support 128 characters for tables and view creators and 128 characters for the actual names of the tables and views. It used to be that DB2 Unload format was not used inside TestBase. Rather, DSNTIAUL Unload format was used. Today, we've standardized on DB2 Unload format. We can still read the old DSNTIAUL format, but we internally use it as DB2 Unload format. And this allows a consistency of formats and easier use of data. In the new version of TestBase, we support extract from image copies, and that gives you access to older data. And we have full support for DB2 version 10 in new function mode. And we have a new concept called partition slice, which enables larger volumes of data to be used in the sliced environment. And we have added support for tables that don't have a unique index or a primary key defined to them. The benefit of using DB2 Unload format is that we can also use the DB2 Unload utility in certain cases inside Slice, which allows for a better performance in the actual unload itself. Again, image copy allows you to extract older data. And we have renamed a number of concepts to definitions and procedures. We used to have RI sets and specifications. Now we have definitions and procedures. So a privacy definition is what we used to refer to as masking. A relationship definition we used to refer to as an RI set, and so forth. Notice that the procedures are all executable, and the definitions are just that. They're definitions to TestBase. Version 10 support. Obviously, everyone wants to take advantage of the new DB2 version 10 features, things like new data types, time zones, and timestamps, and the lengths on the new timestamps, hash keys, unique indexes that have additional columns for performance. You can take advantage of all of those features, and we support the new reformatted catalog that's in DB2 new function mode. A lot of performance enhancements, especially in Slice in version 5.10. Support for larger sets of data. The Slice extract itself is separate from the rest of extract. We have Slice partitions that are available that can support much larger versions of slices. And we can use the DB2 Unload utility when an object is either not sliced or it's a single partition or single slice within the partition. The DB2 Load utility can also be used in those cases when it's not sliced or it's a single slice within a partition. Partition slice with a single slice, we can purge much more easily. We do a DSM1 copy of an empty image copy, and we use it to DSM1 copy back to the individual partition, and making the purge almost instantaneous. Our data definition language manager was expanded to support creating and maintaining these new slice partitions as well. Non-unique index tables and views. And heretofore, you've not been able to edit the data in those tables and views. Now we can position to the rows, reposition to the rows, and as long as they haven't changed, we'll allow you to make changes, new changes to that data. So in summary, version 5.1 is much more powerful, supports longer names, the DB2 version 10 functions, editing data in tables without indices, image copy extract support for older data, or perhaps an extract that's offline. Has much better performance, allows use of the DB2 Unload utility and the DB2 Load utility in cases that we were previously unable to. Partition slice enhances performance. And then lastly, it's easier to use with the renamed definitions and procedures. One of our largest TestBase users is an operation that has hundreds of millions of rows in each of their TestBase slices. Well, perhaps not each, but their largest slices have 300 and 400 million rows in each, and they've seen tremendous performance improvements from processing time from more than 12 hours, in some cases lots more than 12 hours, to less than 4 hours to unload and load the actual data in each of the slices. And they are quite happy with the improvements from 4.5 to 5.1 using partition slice.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today to listen to our video here. Hope you reach out to us soon to see how we can help you with TestBase and Slice and help streamline your test environment and mask your data and get applications deployed back into production faster and better. Thank you very much.